All right, everybody, this is a pretty long video. I'm going to run some zone plays, and this first play is the weak zone bounce out of a strong I formation. I want you to notice the movement of the offensive line and defensive line. Notice how the nose tackle gets some penetration there. You notice how the outside linebacker here, he is going to get on the outside shoulder. He is going to work his way up the field, so that possibly going to cause me to cut. Now, look, I just want you to notice the movement. Now, the inside linebacker play leaves a little bit to be desired, but the thing is, the backside inside linebacker here, what ideally you want is one man in the hole, and with the running back has to make that one man miss. Notice how this guard from the other side gets on the play side linebacker. Now we got the backside linebacker is going to be the one guy that we have to make miss. And as you notice, I'm going to get right up into the lane here, and then we're going to try to evade that guy, but he gets us. But we get 10 yards out of it. The key, however, is look at the movement. Look at the movement of the offensive line in All-Pro 2K8 and the defensive line. Now notice here they stop it. We got our outside linebacker stepping up, playing contain. We got a defensive end who's going to get some good penetration there and actually knock that guy down and get in the backfield and actually make a play. All of this, you got the offensive line and the defensive line moving towards the point of attack. Now, this one, get outside and break the tackle. Now, this one is more of an outside zone rather than a weak zone bounce. This is a weak outside zone. But ideally, you can see here, I could have cut inside, but I chose to stay outside. And notice how wide these plays set up. You got blockers and defensive linemen all over the place. Which ideally, when you're talking about football, that's what it is. It's hectic. It's a lot of movement. And these plays, they're just, to me, when you look at a real game, these plays sort of set up very similar. Now, I will say there are some problems in 2K8. They're probably not being manifested in these videos, but if you look at it long enough, you'll see that there are some problems. It's not perfect, but it sure as hell looks better than what we'll look at next. Now, that's a great play right there by the defensive end. Got in the backfield, penetrated in the backfield, and made that play. Let's look at that again. It's going to roll it. Now watch that defensive end and watch the guard. Watch the defensive end actually carry the guard. There's a lot of mobility in these blocks. That's what we're looking for. Even the nose tackle gets some penetration, and there's some mobility in that. Now let's look at Madden for a second. I formation, this is outside zone. Now notice the offensive line, they sort of slant to the play side, but the biggest issue with this game is the defensive line does not. And then what that does is it makes the movement look very static. And so what they do, I'm assuming, is to make up for that, they get linebackers to shoot gaps and things like that. But I get outside here, get a decent gain, but let's go back and let's look at what happened with the offensive and defensive line. Notice defensive line staying straight up. No movement whatsoever. No mobility in the blocks. That is the one thing that EA needs to, I think, sort of address to make the game look more authentic. Let's flip this play to the weak side. Same thing. Defensive line does not slide to the point of attack, and that's what's making the zone plays in Madden look very stale to me. I'm going to run it out of the ace close here in a second, and we'll see if there's something very similar. And notice also, the one thing with Madden, I feel like I do not have that cutback lane. If I wanted to cut up the middle, I feel like it's not there. I'm going to run it one more time. Let's look at it again on the replay. Notice this outside linebacker here. Now notice when in 2K, the outside linebacker would get up the field, but there will be some mobility. Here he just breaks the block, and then it forces the fullback to change who he intends to block. And notice also the middle linebacker does not get picked up at all. And then there's no movement by the offensive or defensive line towards the point of attack. Just makes the zone plays look very stale and unauthentic, or inauthentic, however you want to say that. Notice tight end. This is terrible here. No, I'll admit some of this happens in 2K8 too, so I mean that's not a big thing, but only thing I'm showcasing here is that there is no movement with respect to the offensive and the defensive line. I think I did not add that ace close clip, but just notice while the offensive line does step to the play side, there is no movement by the defensive line, which makes the zone run plays look stale.